here earlier, I did want to say my name, Ann McCormick, and I am on the Spalding Island Collection Planning Committee, so welcome everybody. We're going to have a presentation today. Thank you all for coming. And a person that is going to introduce our guest is a respected elder. She serves on the Circle of Elders, and she's also on the Tarot Commission. And her name is Mary Jane Souther. So Mary Jane, will you please join me up here? And she's going to introduce our guest.
Tots may we? I have this all written out, but I was going to say, and I'm not one for writing. I can just go off. But I think traditionally, we always open our meetings with prayer. So at this time, I'd like to offer a prayer. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the blessings that you have given us today. And we just thank you for the blessing of women, Lord. For you are such a creator in giving us our title and giving us what is expected of us, Lord, and that is life. And I just thank you, Father, that we have such beautiful settings here, and we have blessing on all our visitors this morning. We love to share, dear Lord, what you have given us, and this morning we hope that people can leave here with the love of the Nespers and the love of our culture and tradition. And Lord, we just ask now that you bless the rest of the presentations here. And we just come to your honor this morning. This I pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, this morning, I'd like to say Tots may we, Inam Hatao Titokan Ha'ayat. That's good morning, our beloved Indian woman, and also to our visitors. And it's such an honor this morning to have folks here that we can share with. We love sharing as Nespers women, as Nespers people, and we have so much to offer through our culture and our tradition. We are approaching this whole day to honor women, and it is so neat because sometimes we kind of get forgotten, or we let ourselves be forgotten. But there are many leaders on our reservation, which is 3 different places here, Kanyai and Orfino. And they also are proud of their tradition and culture. And today, I am so honored to be a Nespers woman. There are so many things that all of us have to share. And I know that sometimes we forget to honor ourselves. And this morning, it gives me great pleasure for all of you to say, I am loved, I am beautiful, I am respected, and I am a Titokan Ayat, that's Indian woman. And so today, there's many, all of us do many things as we kind of are in a matriarchal society. And yet, we still honor our men, because they have a place in our lives. But I want to share just this little part before I do my presentation of our presenter. Traditionally, we used to be offered, or we practiced, first grandchild, be it a boy or a girl, was shared with a grandparent. I probably come from the last of those, teaching. When I was born, I was given to my maternal grandmother. What a shock, not knowing why and not being explained to. But today I'm so forever grateful that this is the way it went. My brother was given to the paternal grandparent, and he was taught how to fish, how to hunt, how to make wood, and do all the manly things. And my brother is no longer here, but I know that he would share some of the things that he was taught. I love my brother so much, and we talked many times about our bringing up. And he always used to talk with respect to me about how glad I was his sister. And I'll never forget that. Just a little respect means a lot to women. And sometimes we are so vain, we don't want to say, I love me. I want respect. I deserve respect. I am a mother, I am a grandmother, and a pope, which means great-grandparent. And I enjoy that more than anything. This month, on the 29th, God given the 85 years. And I am so happy that I have been given this time of life, and I try to push so much into it. So much into it with love, not only love, but caring. And that's what we Indian women are. We are caregivers. And we do many, many things that sometimes people don't see. But once we learn how to honor ourselves and give ourselves love, lots of love. I know I sometimes, when I get down and I think, okay, today I love me, today I'm going to do something for me. And it's really uplifting. You all will have to, I challenge all of you to do that at least once, twice a week, and you'll be surprised how good it makes you feel. And we have so many different roles to fill, and we have done it here on the reservation very respectfully, very loving, and we are going to keep going. There are many obstacles that sometimes get thrown our way, but we are strong women. And it's a challenge for us. We are, every day a challenge comes up to us, but we're ready for it. So just that short note about feelings, I really put that challenge up to you to say, I am loved, I am beautiful, I deserve respect. So with that, I'm very honored today to present a special presenter who is one of our own. You know, we like to claim everybody. All the women are our own. And today, our speaker, it comes from a long list of family, of culture, traditional values, politics, language, and most of all, tribal leadership. And our speaker has established her place in her path, in her long journey of education and studies, and adding to the family acknowledgement a lot of prestige. So at this time, I want to read about Tisa. And I was just telling her outside, I noticed when she was little, you know, beautiful little girl, and still is. And this is about Tisa Matheson. Tisa is a member of the Nimiipuu and has ancestral roots in central Idaho. She is the daughter of Alan and Shirley Pinkham, who is deceased, but was also instrumental in, well, she raised her children well. Tisa's the youngest of 6 siblings. Tisa is following in the path of her grandfather and father as a preservation specialist. She has a master's in library and information services with a focus on digital preservation and cultural records from San Jose State University, and a Circle of Learning Scholarship recipient. She's lived in Spokane, Washington for over 20 years, married to Chirpa Matheson. I probably didn't say that right. And with 2 sons and 4 daughters. How astounding to go that route and still raise a family. But like I said, you know, Indian women have the strength. Tisa has worked with the American Indian Collection of the Northwest Museum of Arts and Culture and Eastern Washington State Historical Society since 2001 as a museum assistant and also collection specialist and curator. Tisa's role at the Northwest Museum of Arts and Culture, Eastern Washington State Historical Society includes American Indian collection care, exhibit development, policy development, and implementation. Isn't that wonderful to have all those skills? And she also serves as a tribal liaison between the museum and tribes. We have a lot of tribes in the Northwest, and I'm sure she's widely known of her expertise. Tisa's passion includes a Nimiipuu artist studying North American, indigenous, cultural, and archive material, and decolonizing preservation institution practices. And with that, all that said and done, we can't say enough about Tisa. And right now, I'd like to present Tisa Matheson.
Wow, I didn't expect that. Just This is a poem written by Elizabeth Woody, and it's in the Song to the Creator publishing, and it's a really profound poem that kind of encompasses what Plateau women's role is, and so I just thought it was a really good example. I know this came up really blurry, but if you happen to look it up, it's a really good poem, and I will leave it here at the end of the presentation. That's Maui. That's, I probably should have said that first. Like I said, I was born and raised here, and I went to school here all of my life, and up to my undergrad degree, I went to school at LCSC. And like Carrie, I was raised in a real traditional home, very strict from my mother, and I didn't realize all of those teachings would kind of guide my path for my career, in which I didn't really recognize that until just a few years ago. It's like, oh, well, it's a good thing I was listening to my mom and my dad, and I get paid for it now. And so at the beginning, when I started becoming interested in this pathway, I became an intern here at the park in '96. And I was just trying to finish my senior project, and I was trying to just graduate with my undergrad. And Bob Chenoweth was really gracious and allowed me to come here and intern with Nakia Williamson, and was here for a few weeks, and I didn't really know at the time how beneficial that was. And this is just one of my drawings that I did of this hat. And it's our elite scout, our women wear it, our Nimiipuu women wear it, and it's a type of hat that you have to earn, and not everybody can wear it, and it has to be worn a certain way, and it's usually passed down from your grandmother and mother to you, or even your aunts, because our family structure is that even our aunts are called our mothers, and just like our uncles can call our fathers. And so it was really interesting and exciting to look at the detail of this, and then after I'm looking at it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's my handwriting. It's kind of weird seeing your handwriting from like 25 years ago. And there's other pieces that I had worked on, and I did some sketches of, and got to look some real in-depth structure, how it was constructed from 1850s, 1840s. I mean, it's amazing, and I really got guidance on how to make traditional clothing by working at this, because I'm a bead worker. I make traditional clothing for my family, as well as my sisters and my nieces and nephews and my brothers. I mean, I kind of do a lot of sewing for them. And right now, like has mentioned, I work at the Northwest Museum of Arts and Culture, and for short, it's called the MAC. And this is me posing for a really ridiculous photo shoot I had to do. And I was trying to look like I was explaining something, and I was like, I can't get into this. And so I think the photographer got really annoyed with me. I was like, I can't help it, I'm Indian, I'm gonna joke about this. And this is just a part of our storage where we keep a lot of our flat twine bags, and our collection holds about 35,000 pieces, and that's give or take a few thousand, because there's still ongoing inventory that we have to straighten out. The early 1990s, the MONAC, the Museum of Native American Cultures that used to be on Gonzaga University, shut down, and the Historical Society absorbed that collection, and so now we're still going through that collection since we got it. I mean, it's so extensive, we're still processing it. And so, a part of my role as the collection specialist is a tribal liaison and the collection management, exhibit development, which is really, really fun. And I develop policy and implementation of that. And my goal for this is to really put a Native aspect on how items are treated, how they're handled, how they're displayed, and how institutions collectively care for them by removing derogatory stereotype labels, using more of Native languages in the record keeping, as well as acknowledging tribal protocol and how other tribes want their things handled, specifically like if there's gender handling rules, like if men can only handle things, women can only handle things, and doing like mild segregation within the collections and keeping certain things away from each other as tribes would advise. And we really try to take that into consideration, and I look forward to meeting with tribes just to get their input on how they want their things stored, because I feel that I'm more of an advocate than a curator or collection specialist for the tribes, and that I'm trying to get rid of those real Eurocentric views on how things are treated and how Native collections are treated, and really put the collections in narrative back into the experts' hands, and that's the tribal communities. And this is the part where I had really thought that my teachings came into play, because I knew the certain different protocols from traveling, the different powwows and different ceremonies and other social events like that, and I would recognize why certain tribes did certain things certain ways, and I always picked up on that, and I paid attention to detail, and I didn't realize at that time that I would be using that in a professional setting. And so that's what really kind of drove me into this profession, is that we as Native communities don't have that advocacy within the European view of museum and preservation institutions. It's very patriarchal, white European interpretation, and I'm really trying to bring back the experts and the narratives being controlled by our communities. And so this is kind of my more in-depth role, and I really try to put some of the traditions and protocols back into our policies as in institutional policies. I even try to get our staff at the museum to change their language to get it more ingrained in them, to not use those stereotypical type of languages. And I seem like a real militant general sometimes. I was like, don't use those words, it's not okay. And I really try to keep it as a institutional norm. And so I sound like a broken record at work, but it's slowly working to where a lot of the departments within our organizations actually are retaining that usage of just acknowledging the tribe's wishes. And it's actually paying off, even though it's been like 20 years. And so there's some more of my roles. I do the exhibit preparation. I mean, I go from the ground up, from pulling things out of trucks, creating mannequins, and this is what one of my favorite pieces I did. It's a taxidermy horse that I decoupaged, and it was super fun. And that's me and then my bestie Gina Pion. She's Spokane, and we were the wrecking crew. I mean, it's like the two of us were like this, and you could hear us just totally rose out in there, and it was super fun. And she moved on to other endeavors. She's over on the coast now, and she's got the same degree that I did, and we both received the same scholarship, a full ride through our master's program, so which was really helpful. And she brought in a lot of context from the Salish people that I didn't know, as well as I knew more about the Sahaptin Plateau people, and she brought more into the Salish because she's Spokane, and her mother is works in the language department of the Spokane tribe. So in the end, it gives the process of how I address, kind of like do a test run and collections of how things would fit, where things need to be stabilized, if they need assistance, and just that extra support because some of these pieces are really fragile. And then this is the end result in the gallery, all lit. Even the mannequin looks kind of creepy now, but I was still fun. It was still really fun. And this piece, this was done like in 2007. And this was just it's called Plateau Connections, Horse Culture of the Plateau. And so we highlighted our horse regalia traditions and what goes on with that. And so this is one of our more recent exhibits that I helped co-curate with my coworker, Valerie Wall. She and I came up with this concept of just focusing on Native women, and specifically Plateau women, and that's where that poem came from. We actually incorporated that poem into our exhibit, and that will be shown in Tacoma in July, end of July. And if you guys are over that way, go see it. It'll be really interesting how that's going to be displayed. I have to go there and help them install at the mid-July. But the concept of this exhibit is trying to give that message of how intergenerational knowledge is passed through from grandmother to grandchild. And I had actually had a hard time coming up with the title, and I give my credit to my dad because we had a long discussion. We were actually sitting in the car at a lacrosse game, waiting for the lacrosse team to play, and my husband and I and my dad were all sitting, and we were like, okay, Dad, you need to help me figure out what this is. And we started discussing it, and then my dad kept saying, well, as grandmother taught, and then as grandmother taught, he kept saying that, and I goes, Dad, you got it, that's it, we'll just like that. And so, because there's no actual real term of it, it's just the process, and so that's how we try to really encapture that. And in that exhibit, we are incorporating pieces from our collection as well as new pieces from Pollyanna, Little Bull, she's Yakima, Cayuse, Bernadine Phillips, she is Okanagan, and then Leanne Campbell, and she is Coeur d'Alene, that's Perce. And we try to show the process of how they learn their art, and they actually just tell their stories. We just served as a platform for them and made it look pretty in a presentable way. And that's how we came up with that exhibit, and it turned out really, really nice. And here's some more images of that exhibit. And my favorite part of just doing exhibits is just putting the objects in their cases, making mounts for them. I mean, that's my cup of tea when I get to do that. There's another piece that's in there, and I kind of already went over the culture preservation process of you really incorporating traditional protocols, and that's just my main goal and my passion is to really take that Eurocentrism out of policies and procedures and take out that European lens of view of like how natives were always siloed as a scientific topic, and really putting it back into putting humanity back into how we are seen. Because there's still people today that come into the museum where I work and want to see all the Indian stuff, and they're still thinking about us as a science project or science interpretation, anthropology project, and it's really frustrating, but it's slowly changing. And I mean, if I can do it at work, I can get visitors to start changing their perspective, hopefully. I also do educational outreach. I help design educational programming, making sure that we do appropriate education on appropriate topics, and making sure that kids' activities aren't really stereotyped. And so that's just mainly I'm kind of like the gatekeeper, and I do my best to try to stay on top of that and be inclusive to all cultures, not just Native cultures, and try to think on a wider lens that way. And these pieces, the baby board was made by Lynn, and then the beaded bag was made by Philomena Nomi, and all the pieces in that educational outreach program are pieces made by Plateau people. And this is, look again, my exhibit installation. That's my favorite part, and this is one of our goofy shots we did right when the pandemic started breaking out. And I helped install exhibits that were made in-house on the museum's campus, as well as I helped install traveling exhibits. And I've worked with traveling exhibits that come from Europe, and having to co-work and deal with foreign curators is really interesting, and there's a definite language barrier there, and you can definitely tell that there's a different type of culture of how Europeans treat museum pieces. It's just really interesting, because I've dealt with Italian curators, German curators, Australian, French, and it's really interesting when they come here and they meet with us on campus, and they have an all-woman exhibit team, and they're shocked because the men on there really don't know how to take it, because these women are giving them orders, and it's just really foreign to them. And I'm like, hey, dude, you wouldn't survive where I come from. And that's me posing again. And this is a piece from the Pompeii Exhibit, and it was a statue that was recovered out of the archaeological dig that they did at Pompeii. And that was a really awesome exhibit. Unfortunately, it opened, we only had it open for 3 weeks, and then it closed down for a pandemic, and it opened up for another 2 weeks, then we had to close it and then send it back. And here's some shots of my collection storage area that I manage in. It's like a hoarder's dream. I love it. It's like rows and rows of baskets, 1,500 corners bags. I mean, there's extensive amount of plateau material there. And that's why it takes like 20 years to get through it. And this is my first intern. This is my son Ilapikma, and he goes by Isla. He's 21 now, and this is my first little exhibit that I did like in 2002 or 2003, and he came along with me and helped me do my thing, and so he's my official intern, and he does come back periodically and help me with educational programs, and then he'll help me like make stabilizing mounts for gender restricted objects. Like if there's only male handled objects, I will have him come in and help me. So he's trapped. And with that, that's pretty much what I have to say, and Katsiaoya. And thank you for listening.